Now, back to the interview from a few minutes ago with Barnes, Leslie, and Jimmy. The best of the morning X.
99X.
Kevin and Michael Bacon. Any new movies coming out, Kevin?
I got a movie that is...
You always have a movie coming out. That's a stupid question.
I got a couple. There's a movie that's a family film that they're trying out in Austin, Texas, and Columbus, Ohio, called My Dog Skip, and it's a low-budget movie. If it works there, they're going to take it wide. It's about a boy and his dog. I see the dogs running around here. So
we had no power for. Well,
great.
he still has no power, so brought the dogs in.
Well,
I usually don't look like this just when I have no electricity in the house for 3 days.
Oh, I know. It must be crazy, I'll tell you. The hotel that we're at is filled with kids, families. They're all camping out there. I was thinking, why are all these kids staying in a hotel?
Yeah.
And then
He's
I
so
realized
proud that he figured this out.
When you were, you guys,
about
do you live in the hills in L.A.?
No, we never lived in L.A. Never will.
Were you New York?
Yeah.
Really? Both of you do?
Yeah.
You just don't like the city or don't want to bring kids up there, or what's the...
Just not my thing.
Really?
Yeah.
You like the small, compact, big city as opposed to sprawling out all over the place?
Michael and I grew up in right in the center of Philadelphia, and I moved to New York when I was 17, and it's just I'm just happier there. It's hard to, I think the whole L.A. versus New York thing gets a little old, and I've had some good times in L.A., and certainly I need to go there a lot because of business and stuff, but we're just East Coast people.
Kevin, you've hosted a bunch of shows on VH1. I'd like to ask both of you your biggest musical influence. Michael, let's start with you.
I would have to say Pete Seeger. I mean, that goes a long way back, but probably nobody's ever heard of him, but he's a folk singer, and he wrote me a postcard when I was a little kid, and it made a big difference to me, just to get a postcard from one of my gods. And I guess that, and also I'm very influenced by classical music and art music. I've always had sort of a parallel career of pop music, and which is what I do for a living, writing film scores. So it's been a good, satisfying musical career that I have.
What movies have you scored?
Well, I scored. A director named Kevin Bacon hired me to do his first directorial debut called Losing Chase, starring
must
Kyra
be a new
Sedgwick.
guy. I haven't heard of him.
Starring Kyra Sedgwick. How did you get her in that?
Actually, she was the producer. It's more like, how did we get the gig?
Right. Which movie was it?
It's called Losing Chase.
Okay.
It was made for Showtime, and it came out really well. Michael did a great job.
Kevin, you didn't answer what your biggest musical influence.
Oh, my biggest music.
Yeah.
I'd have to say my brother.
It's very nice.
Because, and I'm not just being nice. I mean, when I grew up, he was already playing in bands, and I remember sitting on the steps in the basement, listening to his bands rehearsing, and then his albums were around, and of course, in terms of an influence, he brought home, the first Beatles records and the first Stones records, and Big Brother and the Holding Company, and
he kind of laid out the path for you.
Yeah, and so I started listening to rock music when I was a little kid, and I was a huge fan of music and of pop radio,
right?
And so I'd have to say him.
Well, we had David Bowie up here one time, and ironically, he also credited Michael Bacon as being his
That's amazing.
biggest musical influence. It was
Kevin and Michael Bacon are here. I've got a much more serious question, Kevin. Regarding your wife, Kyra Sedgwick, and her thoughts when you would come home after a hard day's work on the set of Wild Things. Was there ever any? Is there ever? I mean, that had to be fun.
Wild Things was a lot of fun. But I mean, down in Miami and stuff. I mean, I guess you're referring to the women who were involved. In
Exactly.
That.
Right.
Well, my question is, if I was you and I had that job, that tough job of going 12 hours to go see these women run around and do their thing in this movie, and then I had to come home to my wife, I'd get all kind of questions.
Well, it's kind of a part of our life.
I know
I
it
mean,
is,
it's
but
and the
still,
shoe's been on the other foot.
she's a woman.
The shoe's been on the other foot too. So she's, I mean, whatever.
Does she say?
acting.
Does she ever get that
Trust
little?
is like a part of it. But I'll tell you, the story of my life is that, for instance, Wild Things. There's that scene where
that scene.
they get that. Well, not the one with Matt.
The one with Matt
of
is
course,
the-
I'm
is
not
the
in
scene.
that one.
Right.
That's not. I don't get that part.
Right.
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 But there's also the scene where they're in the pool and they're making out, and I'm watching that. In fact, I'm videotaping it in the movie. And of course, they did my coverage, you know, which, you know, they shot the shot of me going like this.
Right.
And they said, okay, you're wrapped. You can go at home, you know.
Okay, bring in the women. Kev, you can leave. Bring in the women.
That was so real. Good work. You're out of here.
Life is not fair.
I'm guessing you stuck around on the set that day just to, you know, see what the movie was.
When you say that shoe's been on the other foot, what movie has she done where when she comes home, you're like,
what are the steamy movies that she? What steamy sections has she had?
She had a thing with Travolta and Phenomena. And,
Oh, that's right.
Oh, that is. Yeah, I forgot about that.
and she had some stuff in Singles, and I mean,
Right.
she's done a lot of. It's just
Makes you a little jealous, even though
the
the
way it
trust
goes.
is there. It's still, although they're acting, they're still doing.
I don't know. I think it's kind of sexy.
Sure.
Really?
What's your favorite Kyra Sedgwick movie?
I'd have to say Losing Chase because I directed.
There you
Okay.
go, Kevin Bacon.
Good answer. That's a good politically correct answer. That won't get you in any trouble. Yeah. You know some of the films that you've been in, you probably make a wider range of choices than most other actors. Do you just get offered a wider range of parts, or do you seek them out? Is there a kind of part that you constantly get offered that you just don't want to do anymore?
Well, I became an actor because, like I said, I wanted to do as many different kinds of things as possible. If I do one picture and I've done a certain kind of part, then I want to do something different the next time. And the thing about it is if you can either say, all right, the size of the movie, the budget of the movie, the size of my salary is the first thing that I'm concerned about or the last thing that I'm concerned about. And if you make it the last thing that you're concerned about, you're going to get a chance to do a whole bunch more different kinds of movies and different kinds of parts.
Early on, isn't it the first thing you think about, though? The size of that check sometimes? Early on, as opposed to now?
Early on, I mean, I needed,
Got to get the base.
I needed money to eat.
Right, you got to live.
But I'll tell you the truth, when I got Animal House was my first movie.
Yeah, you were in the bad frat, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And I have had so little concept of, how much, what money was really about. And it was $785 a week was what scale was.
Man.
And I thought that was like silly money, crazy
That's
money.
huge, Jack, right.
I was insane.
You were living large.
Living large. And I got back from doing Animal House, and I spent the money in about a week and a half.
Did you just get stupid with it?
And I was back in the restaurants.
Just go buy a toy.
Back, I bought things, but I wouldn't call them toys.
More of this interview you don't want to miss is back in minutes on the best of the morning X 99X.
This is a PSA, or public sock announcement. Experts have declared Bombas socks as the best way to warm up chilly feet. These pairs are super cushy, soft, and designed for maximum coziness. Plus, for every pair purchased, another pair will be donated, so someone in need of essential clothing can stay warm this winter. Go to bombas.com/listen and use code LISTEN for 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com/listen and use code LISTEN at checkout.